If Africa had a throne room, it would not be quiet. It would crackle, roar, splash, and stamp with life. It would smell like dust after rain, hot grass in the sun, and river water under a burning sky. Here, the land can feel like a giant chessboard where every move matters, and one wrong step can mean dinner for something else. In the weeks ahead, we're going to follow lions, hippos, crocodiles, elephants, buffalo, and more as they fight, hunt, and survive in a place where power changes hands fast. It's beautiful, it's harsh, and it never stands still. If you love these kinds of stories, say hello in the comments and tell us where you're watching from. And one more thing before we begin. Some of these animals are facing real pressure from people and changing habitats, so there's a lot at stake out here. Have you ever wondered what kind of land can hold lions, elephants, crocodiles, and birds all in the same breath? Africa is that place. It is huge, wild, and full of heat, dust, and sudden bursts of life. One moment, the sky feels empty and endless. The next, a herd of antelope is racing past, or a lion is watching from the grass. Across rivers, plains, and dry open country, survival never really takes a break. In the weeks ahead, we are going to meet some of the most powerful animals on Earth and see how they live side by side in this great, demanding land. If you love the outdoors, say hello in the comments and tell us where you're watching from.
The smell comes first. Warm river mud, wet reeds, and that strong, earthy scent of water held in the heat. Then comes the sound. A deep grunt from the dark water, followed by a splash that rolls across the bank like thunder. Just beneath the surface, something huge is stirring. This is the hippopotamus, a river giant found in places like the Rufiji River and other slow, wet waterways across Africa. It spends much of the day half hidden in the shallows, and when night falls, it comes ashore to feed. At first glance, it seems calm and heavy. But make no mistake, this animal carries a lot of power in that broad, round body. A full-grown hippo can weigh nearly 4,000 pounds, and its jaws can open to an astonishing 150 degrees. One of the largest creatures on land, it can even kill a large crocodile if pushed too far. From the bank, the hippo's skin looks smooth and gray, almost like wet stone. Up close, though, it has the look of a living tank. The body is barrel-shaped and immense, built low and wide for life in the water. The head is huge, with tiny ears perched on top like little warning flags, and eyes set high enough to see and breathe while most of the body stays submerged. Those eyes give it a surprisingly watchful look, like an old neighbor who misses nothing. The mouth is the part nobody forgets. It opens wide and fast, showing thick tusk-like teeth and a pink cavern that seems far too large for such a broad face. Even the skin tells a story. It looks tough, but it needs water and mud to stay healthy under the fierce sun. That is why hippos spend so much time in rivers and pools. They are built for a life between two worlds. In the water, they rest, cool off, and keep their massive bodies supported. On land after dark, they move with surprising purpose as they head out to graze. They are not hunters, but they are far from harmless. Their days are shaped by the rhythm of the river. They rise to breathe every few minutes, then sink again into the murk. They use low rumbles to talk underwater, sounds that travel through the water and help keep the group together. They also give birth in the water, which offers the calf a safer first step into life. For a young hippo, the river is home, nursery, and shelter all at once. Hippos usually live in groups, often gathered in cool pools, where several adults crowd together like boulders in a flooded trench. There is a pecking order here, and the strongest males defend good water spots with heavy bodies and those fearsome jaws. Mothers stay close to their calves, and the young must quickly learn where to stand, when to move, and how to avoid trouble. Social life in a hippo pool can be noisy and tense. There are grunts, snorts, splashes, and sudden charges when space runs short. It may look lazy to us, but there is a lot happening under that calm surface. That matters because hippos help shape the rivers they live in. As they move between water and land, they open paths, stir up mud, and spread nutrients. Their grazing also affects the grasses along the banks. In a place where every animal is tied to water, a hippo is one of the forces that helps keep the whole system moving. And yet, for all its bulk, it still depends on healthy rivers and undisturbed shores. When those places are threatened, the hippo feels it too. Then the night comes, and the great body rises from the water with a snort and a spray, heading for the grasslands under a sky full of stars. It is one of the oldest sights in Africa and one of the most unforgettable. The river may look peaceful, but beneath that quiet surface waits a giant with a wild heart.
There is a special kind of stillness that comes before a hunt. The grass seems to hold its breath. Even the air feels tense. Then, from somewhere low and hidden, a few sharp squeaks break the silence, and the whole group is moving at once. That is the world of the African wild dog. These painted hunters roam parts of eastern and southern Africa, including places like Nyerere and the Serengeti region. What makes them stand out is not just their speed, but the way they work together. They are some of the most successful hunters on the Savannah, and they do it as a team. Look closely, and you will see why people remember them so well. Their coats look as if they were brushed with black, tan, and white paint. No two quite the same. Their legs are long and lean, built for running hard and running far. Their ears are huge, too, like open fans catching every sound around them. An adult African wild dog has a body that seems made for motion, but its real strength is in the pack. These animals do not live by brute force alone. They live by trust, timing, and quick decisions. A pack may be 24 dogs strong, and in places like Nyerere, researchers have recorded 141 wild dogs spread across those packs. That is a lot of hungry mouths, but it also means a lot of help. When they set out, they do not lunge around in confusion. They fan out, watch each other, and keep in touch with high-pitched chirps. It sounds almost cheerful at times, but make no mistake, this is serious business. A chase can go on for miles, not a few quick leaps like a cheetah. Miles. They wear their prey down with stubborn, steady pressure until the animals simply cannot keep going. Their success rate can be 60 to 90%, which is far higher than many other big hunters on the plains. But speed is only part of the story. What makes wild dogs truly special is how they care for one another. In their world, a meal is not just for the one who grabbed it first. Adults will bring food back for pups and even for injured pack members. They regurgitate it, sharing strength the way a family might pass around the last warm biscuit at the dinner table. That kind of care matters because life here is rough. Young dogs learn by watching, following, and listening. Older dogs help guide them. Everyone has a role. And when one dog picks up a trail, the others seem to understand at once. It is a quiet, living conversation. Their family life is built around cooperation. They raise pups together, guard them together, and feed them together. That shared care gives the pack a real advantage. If one dog stumbles, the others do not simply move on. They help. In a land where lions, hyenas, and leopards all compete for food, that bond can mean the difference between life and death. African wild dogs matter because they are top hunters in their own right, but also because they keep prey animals on the move and help shape the life of the grasslands. And there is another hard truth here. They need room. Habitat loss, disease, and conflict with people have made them one of Africa's most threatened large carnivores. The hopeful part is that protected areas like Nyerere are still giving them a chance. So when you watch a wild dog pack slip across the dust in perfect rhythm, you are not just seeing a hunt. You are seeing a family moving as one, and that is a beautiful thing to witness.
The grass gives off a dry, sweet smell after the heat of the day, and every little breeze carries it across the plain. Then comes a soft rustle, a quick snort, a sudden burst of motion. In a place like Ndutu, that is often all it takes to know trouble is near. Out of that short grass steps Thompson's gazelle, one of the most familiar little grazers on these East African plains. It lives in the Serengeti and nearby grasslands, where open space gives it a chance to spot danger early. And danger is never far away here. Lions, cheetahs, hyenas, and wild dogs all watch these fields with hungry eyes. Thompson's gazelle may be small, but it has speed, alert eyes, and a sharp jump that can carry it away from a bad moment in a heartbeat. At first glance, it looks light as a broom straw in the wind, but that small body is built for survival. Its coat is a warm tan on top, white underneath, with a dark stripe along the side that helps break up its shape in the grass. The face is delicate, almost elegant, with bright eyes that seem to miss nothing. The horns are short and curved, and in the males they are used in sparring matches that look more like a test of balance than a real fight. A gazelle spends much of its day grazing, moving from patch to patch with its head low and ears always working. It feeds on fresh grass and tender plants, choosing the green bites that appear after rain or near damp ground. In the heat, it does not waste energy. It rests in small groups, standing alert, chewing slowly, while others keep watch. That is one of its best habits. There is safety in many eyes. Thompson's gazelles often gather in herds, and that group life helps them survive. One animal notices a lion's shadow. Another catches the flash of a cheetah's tail. Soon the whole group is on edge. They flick their tails, stamp the ground, and bound away in zigzags that make a chase harder for a hunter to finish. Mothers are careful with their fawns, usually hiding them in the grass when they are very young. The little ones stay still, almost invisible, until they are strong enough to keep up. When a mother returns, the bond is close and quiet. A nuzzle, a brief call, then back to the work of staying alive. For such a small animal, Thompson's gazelle matters a great deal. It turns grass into food for bigger hunters, and it helps move energy through the whole savannah. Without animals like this, the great cats would have a much harder time. The plain would feel emptier. And because gazelles rely on open grasslands, they remind us how important those wide, undisturbed spaces really are. Here on the savannah, even the smallest life has a place in the struggle. And sometimes, that small life is the one that keeps the whole day moving. Then the scene changes fast. A cheetah lowers its head in the grass. The gazelles freeze for one heartbeat. A warning snort cracks the air. And suddenly, the whole herd explodes into motion. White bellies flashing, hooves drumming the earth, dust rising behind them like smoke. One young gazelle veers hard to the left. Another leaps high, all legs and nerves. The cheetah bursts after them, flat and low, making dust boil in the sun. For a few seconds, everything is speed and fear. The gazelles scatter, split, and twist through the open plain. The cheetah gains, then loses ground. Its sprint is fierce, but short. The herd keeps going, each animal reading the others, each one helping shape the escape. Then, just as quickly as it began, the panic settles. The survivors slow to a trot, then a walk, ears still up. Noses still working. Dust drifts back to the earth, and the plain becomes quiet again, as if it is catching its breath. Imagine waiting at the riverbank with your feet in warm mud and the water looks calm enough to fool you. Then you notice two small bumps just above the surface. Not rocks, not roots, eyes. That is the kind of stillness the Nile crocodile is famous for. It lives in rivers, lakes, and marshes across much of Africa, and it has been waiting in these waters for a very long time. With armor like old river stone and a mouth built for one fast, crushing snap, it is one of the most feared hunters on the continent. And yet most of the time, it barely moves at all. It waits. It watches. It listens for the splash of a careless drink. Music. The Nile crocodile can stretch more than 16 feet long, and some grow even larger, with heavy bodies covered in rough bony plates that feel like nature's own chainmail. Its skin is usually a dark olive or brown, with a pale belly that helps it blend into muddy water and sunlit sand. The head is broad and powerful, shaped for force more than speed. Those eyes sit high on the skull, along with the ears and nostrils, so the crocodile can stay nearly hidden while still seeing, hearing, and breathing. That setup makes sense when you live half in the water and half out of it. Everything about this animal seems built for patience. Even the jaw tells a story. It is made for holding on, not for letting go. Once those teeth close, the struggle is usually over. Most of the day, this crocodile lies motionless in the shallows or on a bank, saving its energy. It can wait through the heat, through the noise, through the long hours when nothing seems to happen. But beneath that quiet surface, it is always ready. Fish are a steady meal. So are birds, antelope, and other animals that come too close to drink. It does not chase far on land. That is not its style. Instead, it uses the water like a trapdoor. A zebra leans down, a calf steps wrong. A fish swims just a little too near. Then comes the burst. One sudden lunge, a flash of teeth. And if the crocodile gets a grip, the fight turns grim fast. What makes it so dangerous is not speed alone. It is timing. It knows where to wait, it knows when to strike, and it knows how to make the most of that one explosive moment. Even in a world full of bold hunters, this one plays a different game. It is the patient hunter of the river. Nile crocodiles are mostly solitary, and they spend much of their lives keeping to themselves, though you may see several gathered where food or good basking spots are plentiful. Mating brings them together for a time, and after that, the female does something many people would never expect from such a fearsome animal. She builds a nest on land, often in sand or soil near the water, and guards it carefully. She can lay a large clutch of eggs, then stay close until they are ready to hatch. When the young crocs call from inside their shells, She helps dig them out and carries them gently in her mouth to the water. That mouth, built for crushing, can also be strangely careful. The young still have a hard road ahead. Birds, monitor lizards, fish, and even bigger crocodiles can all take them. So the first days matter a great deal. For the mother, protection is everything. Music. The Nile crocodile matters because it helps keep river life in check. It takes weak, slow, or careless animals, and that can shape how herds move and where they drink. It also cleans up dead animals, which helps keep water edges from becoming too foul. In many places, people still fear and hunt crocodiles, and rivers are changing fast because of dams, farming, and shrinking wetlands. But where habitats are protected, crocodiles can still do what they have done for ages: hold their ground at the edge of the water and remind every creature that comes to drink to be careful. Then, all at once, the river grows quiet again. Only the eyes remain, only the waiting, and that is enough. The chase is already on. Dust kicks up behind spindly legs. The grass seems to shake with each flying step. For a few heartbeats, the whole world narrows to speed, heat, and the thin edge between life and loss. Then the runner comes clear, and there is no mistaking that slim, spotted cat streaking across the plain. This is the cheetah, the fastest land animal on Earth, built for one thing above all else: a lightning-fast sprint. It lives across open grasslands and dry savannas, where there is room to run and just enough cover to sneak in close before the chase begins. What makes it stand out is not just speed, but how finely tuned every part of its body is for that burst. Its body is long and lean, like a race car with fur, long legs, a deep chest, a flexible spine that bends like a spring. Even its claws stay partly out, giving it extra grip, almost like running shoes with spikes. But that speed comes with a cost. The cheetah is not built for wrestling or for long fights. It has a lighter skull and a weaker bite than bigger cats, and that leaves it vulnerable once the chase is over. It spends much of its day watching, waiting, and choosing the right moment. Cheetahs hunt mostly small to medium prey, often giving chase for only 20 to 30 seconds before the risk of overheating becomes too much. That means every hunt has to count. It crouches low in the grass, eyes locked forward, reading the breeze and the movement of a herd. Then it explodes. In an instant, stillness becomes motion. The legs blur. The tail swings like a rudder to keep balance through sharp turns. And if the first rush does not work, the chance may be gone. Cheetahs are built for open country, where they can spot danger and prey from far off. But that same open ground leaves them exposed to stronger rivals. Lions, hyenas, and even leopards can drive them off a kill with ease. So the cheetah lives with constant pressure. It must be quick, yes, but also careful. It hunts alone most of the time, relying on stealth and timing instead of strength. A mother raising cubs has an even harder job. She leaves them hidden in thick grass while she goes out to find food, coming back only when it is safe. The cubs are small, vulnerable, and easy to lose to lions or hyenas, so the mother stays alert every moment. She teaches them by example, showing them how to stay low, how to watch, how to move without drawing notice. For a young cheetah, growing up means learning that speed is only part of survival. The cheetah matters because it helps keep the grasslands in check by taking the sick, the weak, and the slow. That keeps prey herds healthier overall. It is also a reminder that not every hunter survives by force. Some survive by timing, precision, and a body shaped for one brief perfect rush. And today, these cats face trouble from habitat loss, shrinking wild spaces, and conflict with people who live nearby. Still, protected parks and careful conservation work are helping in some places. When you watch a cheetah run, you are seeing more than speed. You are seeing a life built on nerves, grace, and one narrow chance to get everything right. Now and then, the plane goes still again. The dust settles, and somewhere in the grass, those spotted eyes are already watching for the next opening.
At first, there is only the hush of dusk. The grass barely moves. The air feels warm and still, and somewhere out in the fading light, a deep rumble rolls across the plain. Then another answers it. It is the kind of sound that can make your chest tighten a little, because you know something powerful is close. This is the voice of the lion. And in much of Africa, it has long stood for strength, courage, and rule. Lions live across grasslands and open woodlands, where there is room to hunt and room to roam. They are the only big cats that live in social groups called prides, and that simple fact changes everything. In a pride, the females do most of the hunting, the males help guard the territory, and the cubs grow up surrounded by family. But make no mistake, life here is never easy. Every meal, every cub, every patch of ground can be fought for. Up close, a lion is built like a heavy block of muscle. The body is long and powerful, with shoulders that seem made for wrestling prey to the ground. The head is broad, the nose is dark, the eyes can look almost sleepy one moment, then cold and fixed the next. And of course, there is the mane on the males, thick and wild, like a living crown. It frames the face, hangs over the chest, and makes an already impressive animal look larger still. But the mane is not just for show. It can signal age and strength to rivals and to females. Lionesses look a little leaner and faster, with no mane at all, and that sleeker build suits the work they do. They are the heart of the pride, When night falls, lions spend much of their time resting, grooming, and watching. They save their energy for the hunt because big cats burn through strength fast. And when they do move, they do it with purpose. A pride may spread out through the grass, each animal reading the others with tiny signals, flicks of the tail, and soft touches of the head. That family life matters. Lion cubs are raised together, and females often help care for one another's young. If a cub is in trouble, another female may step in without hesitation. It is a shared life, and that helps them survive. Still, there is a hard edge to lion society. Young males do not stay forever. Around 2 to 3 years old, they are forced out and must wander, often in small coalitions with brothers or cousins, searching for a place to claim. They will spend much of their lives trying to hold on to power, and that power can be taken as quickly as it is won. For all their fame, lions are not invincible. They matter because they help shape the whole savannah. They keep prey animals moving, they protect their territory, and they influence how other hunters behave. In that way, they help steer the life of the plains. And even now, people are working to protect them because lions need space, healthy prey, and room away from conflict with people. Then the sun drops lower, and the pride stirs. Through the tawny grass, a shape rises, then another, then a third. The eyes catch the last light. The air holds its breath. A single low growl passes between them, and the hunt begins. It starts quietly. Lionesses fan out, low and steady, their bellies brushing the grass. Ahead, a herd of buffalo shifts nervously, ears twitching, heads lifting. One calf stumbles, then regains its footing. The pride closes in, closer now, too close for comfort. A warning snort explodes from the herd. Dust bursts up under pounding hooves. For a moment, everything becomes motion and noise. Buffalo swing into a tight circle. The lions dart and dodge, looking for an opening. Then one lioness surges forward. Another follows. The prey lunges. The hunters answer. In the middle of all that panic, there is something almost graceful about the way they work together, each one knowing her part. The chase does not always end in victory. Sometimes the buffalo hold. Sometimes the lions pull back, but whether they succeed or fail, the plain has already been reminded who rules here. When the dust settles, the night feels bigger, older, and somehow full of meaning. The first thing you notice is the smell. Dry grass, warm dust, and that sharp, musky scent that seems to hang around big herds on a hot afternoon. Then comes the sound. Hooves thudding, snorts, a low, grumbling breath that rolls out across the plain. Out of that haze steps the Cape buffalo, one of Africa's toughest grazing animals, found in places like the Serengeti and other wild stretches where grass, water, and danger all sit close together. These animals are built for life on the edge, and they never seem to forget it. One moment, they look like slow, solid cattle. The next, they can turn into a wall of horns and muscle that no hunter wants to test for long. At first glance, they may seem plain, but spend a little time with them, and you start to see just how much power is packed into that broad frame. A Cape buffalo stands low and heavy, with a deep chest and a thick neck that seems to melt into its shoulders. Its coat is dark, often nearly black, but not always glossy. Sometimes it looks dusty, almost brown in the harsh sun. The horns are the real showpiece. On a full-grown animal, they curve outward and then sweep in toward the middle, joined by a thick boss across the forehead in the males. That boss can look like a built-in shield, all compact power and old-age toughness. The face is wide and steady, with dark eyes that seem to take in everything around them. Nothing about this animal feels rushed. It looks like it was made for endurance. And that is exactly right. Cape buffalo spend much of the day grazing, moving slowly through open country in search of fresh grass. They feed for hours, heads down, tearing at the ground with those broad mouths. When the weather is dry, they stay close to water because they need it and because danger often waits there too. They are not graceful animals in the way a gazelle might be graceful, but they do not need to be. Their strength is in numbers, in patience, and in that stubborn refusal to panic too soon. A herd can seem loose and easygoing from far away. Up close, it is organized in its own rough way. Cows and calves stay together, and the young are kept toward the middle when trouble comes calling. Strong bulls often take the outside edge, where the threat is first met. That is not a small thing. It means the oldest, strongest animals are willing to stand between the herd and whatever is trying to break it apart. Buffalo talk to one another with snorts, grunts, and body language. A flick of the head, a sudden turn, a sharp movement in the grass. All of it matters. And when one animal gets nervous, that feeling can spread fast through the group. What makes Cape buffalo so important is not just their size. It is the way they shape the life around them. As grazers, they help keep the grasslands open and moving. They also feed some of the biggest predators on the continent, especially lions. In places where buffalo are common, hunters have to work harder, plan better, and take bigger risks. A buffalo is not easy prey. It can fight back, and it often does. That power changes the whole balance of the hunt. It is one reason these animals command so much respect. Even today, they still face pressure from habitat loss and conflict with people in some places. But in many protected areas, they remain one of the great sights of the African plains. Strong, wary, and very much alive. And when you watch a herd disappear into the dust, you understand something simple and powerful: survival. Here is never about looking gentle. It is about being ready. Far off, a herd of buffalo moves like a dark tide through the heat shimmer. Calves tuck close. Bulls hold the edge. The grass bends, the dust rises, and for a moment, the whole plain seems to breathe with them. Have you ever wondered how an animal can be feared, mocked, and deeply misunderstood all at once? In the heat of the African night, when the grass is silver in the moonlight and the air carries the smell of dust and old blood, a laugh-like call cuts through the dark. It sounds almost wild enough to be a joke, but there is nothing funny about the creature making it. This is the spotted hyena, one of the smartest and toughest hunters on the plains. It lives across large parts of Africa, where it travels in clans, hunts in groups, and survives by reading every sound and scent around it. And in a land where food is never easy to keep, that matters more than strength alone. When people hear what comes next, they may never look at a hyena the same way again. The spotted hyena has the kind of build that tells you right away this animal was made for hard living. Its body is sloped, with the shoulders sitting higher than the hips, giving it a strange, back-tilted shape that looks a bit like a running hound built from heavy parts. The coat is pale tan to gray, covered in dark spots that are easy to see in good light. Those spots are not neat little dots. They are messy and uneven, like fingerprints scattered over a coat. Its head is broad, the muzzle thick, the ears rounded and alert. And then there is that face. The eyes can seem almost human at times, sharp and watchful. But there is no softness in the jaws. Those jaws are built for crushing. A spotted hyena can bite through bones that would leave many other animals struggling. Even its front legs are longer and stronger than the back legs, which gives it that odd downhill look, but also plenty of power for running and tugging at a carcass. Up close, it is not graceful in the usual sense. It is all business. Every part of its body seems ready for a long chase, a rough fight, or a hard meal. And that rough build suits its life perfectly. Spotted hyenas spend much of their time moving through open country, plains, woodland edges, and scrub where they can cover ground and stay alert for danger or dinner. They are not picky eaters, and that gives them an edge. They will hunt live prey when the chance is right, often working together in small teams of 2 to 5. They can run fast enough to wear down many animals, and they do not give up easily. But they also eat carrion when they find it, and they are quick to spot an opening when a lion leaves a carcass unguarded or a hunt goes wrong. That is one reason they are so successful. They do not waste an opportunity. Their hearing is another gift. They can pick up sounds from more than 6 miles away, which is hard to picture until you imagine a sound drifting across open plains long before a human could ever notice it. A distant alarm call, a distressed calf, the chatter of rivals over food. A hyena can catch those hints and turn them into a meal. And once it starts feeding, that famous bite gets to work. Bones, hide, and scraps. Others would ignore become part of the menu. Nothing easy goes to waste. Life in a hyena clan is noisy and full of rank. These are social animals, and the group can feel like a busy little town with its own rules and tension. Females lead the way, and they usually hold the top spots in the clan. They are larger than males, tougher in the social pecking order, and they pass that high status on to their daughters. Young hyenas grow up in the middle of all this, learning fast. They play hard, nip at each other, chase, tumble, and test one another's nerve. Those rough games help them build the strength and confidence they will need later. Communication matters too. They use whoops, growls, giggles, and a whole range of sounds to keep track of one another and to warn about danger or food. That famous laugh is often a sign of stress or excitement, not amusement. It can sound strange to us, but in hyena language, it says plenty. Family life here is not gentle, but it is close. Mothers care for their cubs, and the cubs stay near the safety of the den while they are young. They are born with their eyes open, already on alert, and they begin their lessons early. A clan's strength comes from cooperation, from knowing who has rank, and from moving as one when it counts. That teamwork helps them survive. In a place where lions, drought, and hunger all press in from every side. And that is why spotted hyenas matter so much. They are not just leftovers eaters, as people used to claim. They are major hunters and major cleaners. They help control prey populations, and they clear dead animals from the land before sickness can spread. In a way, they help keep the whole system moving. Their hard lives and sharp minds have made them one of Africa's most successful large carnivores, even when they are pushed around by bigger names. There is something honest about that. The spotted hyena does not pretend to be noble. It survives, it learns, it endures, and sometimes that is the toughest skill of all. Then night deepens over the plain, and the world tightens to small patches of light. A wounded antelope breaks from cover, panting hard, and a clan of hyenas swings into motion. They fan out, they call. The sound passes from one to another like a signal in the dark. Nearby, lions are already on a carcass, shoulders hunched, heads low, trying to eat fast before trouble arrives. But trouble has already found them. The hyenas close in, not with blind rage, but with purpose. One darts forward, another circles wide. Dust rises under quick feet. The lions lift their heads, a stare, a snarl. Then more hyenas arrive, drawn by the calls, and the pressure builds. No one wants to give ground. In the distance, a zebra startles and bolts. A gazelle vanishes into the grass. The whole plain seems to hold its breath. Finally, the lions give up a mouthful and step back, ears flat, and the hyenas surge in. It is messy, loud, tense, and yet, when the rush is over, the night settles again. The clan feeds, the younger ones wait their turn, and the great dark plain keeps turning, one hard-earned meal at a time.
A faint scrape in the branches, a soft rustle above your head, then a smell of dry leaves, warm bark, and the musty scent of a hidden animal drifting down from the dark. You scan the trees, but there is almost nothing to see. Then, just for a second, two golden eyes catch the last light. The leopard has already been watching you. This cat lives across much of Africa, from forests to rocky hills and river edges, and it has a gift that few animals can match. It can vanish in plain sight. Its rosetted coat is like spilled shadow across sunlit grass, and its silence is part of its power. It is the kind of hunter that makes the whole landscape feel a little more alert. Leopards spend much of their lives alone. They move quietly, hunt mostly at night, and often drag food into trees where lions and hyenas have a harder time stealing it. That habit tells you a lot about this cat. It is not the biggest, and it does not need to be. It survives by being smart, careful, and quick. Up close, a leopard is built like a living coil of muscle. Its body is long and low, all spring and strength. The shoulders roll with every step, smooth as water. The legs look thick and powerful, but the feet are soft and quiet on the ground. The tail is long, almost like a balancing pole, helping it turn and leap with ease. And that face carries a steady, watchful look. The whiskers are long, the ears are small and rounded. The jaw is strong enough to grip and hold prey that would be dangerous for many other hunters. But the coat is what most people remember first. Those black rosettes, spaced across a pale gold or tawny background, break up the animal's shape so well that even trained eyes can lose it. In dappled light, the cat seems to melt into the earth itself. A leopard's day is often a long stretch of patience. It rests in shade when the heat builds, often sprawled across a branch or tucked into grass, where the breeze can reach it. Then, as the light fades, it comes alive. It walks with its head low and its steps careful, listening for birds, small antelope, monkeys, or even young animals that have drifted too far from safety. A leopard is a top hunter, but it is also practical. It will take what it can catch, from impala to hares to birds, and it does not waste energy on a fight it does not need. That is one reason it often hunts close to cover. It uses surprise like a trapdoor. One moment the grass is still, the next the cat is there. If it makes a kill, it may hide the carcass or haul it up a tree, sometimes lifting prey much heavier than you would expect for a cat of this size. It does this for one simple reason. On the savannah, dinner can be stolen in an instant. Lions, hyenas, and even large birds can all cause trouble. So the leopard eats where it can, when it can, and often out of sight. Family life for a leopard is mostly a private affair. Mother leopards raise cubs alone, without help from a pride or pack. The cubs are born blind and helpless, tucked away in thick cover, a cave, or a sheltered thicket. For the first weeks, the mother keeps them hidden and moves them often, because danger is always close. As the cubs grow, she brings them small pieces of meat and slowly teaches them how to watch, stalk, and pounce. Young leopards learn by shadowing their mother, copying her every move. They may stay with her for many months before setting off on their own. And when they do, they must find their own home range, their own hunting grounds, their own quiet corner of the world. Adult leopards keep in touch through scent marks, scratches on trees, and low calls that carry through the night. They are solitary, but not silent. The leopard matters because it helps keep smaller animal numbers in check, and because it fills a place that few other hunters can fill. It can live where cover is thick, where rocks offer hiding spots, and where trees give it an escape route. That flexibility helps it survive in changing country, but it also brings it into conflict with people. When bush is cleared, when prey disappears, or when livestock is left unguarded, leopards can get into trouble. In some places, they are protected, and careful work by rangers and local communities is helping them hold on. And then, in the deep dark of the night, the whole story can change in a heartbeat. A bushbuck steps from the shadows to drink. A leopard is already there, pressed flat against a fallen branch. Across the clearing, Hyenas laugh in the distance. Closer now, the branches barely tremble. The cat drops. There is a thud, a burst of movement, a sharp cry, and then silence again. The water keeps moving. The night keeps breathing. And the leopard, as it has for ages, slips back into the dark, like a secret the world is not quite ready to share.
Ndutu feels almost still at first. The grass sways softly. The air is cool and dry in the early light. Then you notice how much life is gathered here, waiting for the day to begin. This is the southern edge of the Serengeti ecosystem, a broad plain that fills up with grazing animals when the season is right. Thompson's gazelles, plains zebras, and wildebeest come here in huge numbers, moving across open ground with nowhere much to hide. It is beautiful country, but it is also dangerous country. Out here, every patch of shade, every rise in the land, and every thin line of dust can mean food, shelter, or trouble. Ndutu is one of those places where the whole drama of the plains seems to come together. If a rubbish truck and a scarecrow somehow had a baby, it might still not look as odd as a marabou stork. Those bare-headed giants drift in after the drama is over, stepping through the dust like they own the place. You'll find them across much of sub-Saharan Africa, often near rivers, grasslands, and busy feeding grounds where leftovers are part of the daily menu. And while they may not win any beauty contests, they play a job that keeps the landscape cleaner and healthier than it would be otherwise. This bird is built for the mess. It is part cleaner, part opportunist, and always ready when something dies. The marabou stork stands tall, often around 5 feet, with a wingspan that can stretch to nearly 10 feet. That huge frame gives it a look that is hard to forget. Its body is mostly dark above, with a white underwing and a heavy pink bill that looks made for business, not decoration. Then there is that bald head and neck, which may seem strange at first, but make perfect sense for a bird that spends a lot of time poking into carcasses. Feathers there would only collect grime. A bare head stays much cleaner. It also helps the bird avoid a lot of the mess that comes with feeding on dead animals. On the ground, the marabou can seem awkward, almost stilt-like, but once it opens those massive wings, it changes completely. It catches the eye like a slow-moving kite, broad and black against the sky. Up close, there is nothing delicate about it. The long legs, the hooked bill, the wrinkled neck pouch, and the steady stare all give it a hard-working, almost stern look. But there is a kind of strange beauty in that too. This bird knows exactly what it is made for. Most of its day is spent waiting, watching, and walking. Marabou storks often gather wherever food is easy to find. That can mean floodplains, river edges, garbage dumps, or the remains of a hunt. They are not picky. In fact, being a little bit of everything is part of their success. They will eat carrion, fish, frogs, insects, and scraps left behind by larger hunters. They often work with vultures, and each has its own style. Vultures tear. The marabou probes. Its long bill can reach into tight spaces that other scavengers might miss, picking clean the last useful bits from a carcass. In this way, it helps recycle what death leaves behind. Nothing goes entirely to waste. That matters more than most people realize. A dead animal left too long can spread disease and draw in trouble. By clearing away carcasses, marabou storks help keep waterholes, plains, and riverbanks healthier for other animals. They are not hunters in the usual sense, but they are still part of the great push and pull of survival. They stand at the end of the story, yes, but they also help write the next chapter. Family life for a marabou stork starts high above the ground. These birds nest in colonies, often in tall trees near water. The nests are bulky and messy, built from sticks and lined with whatever soft material they can find. Both parents help raise the young, taking turns feeding the chicks and guarding the nest. Their young grow slowly, and that means the adults have to keep bringing food back again and again. Marabou storks also communicate in simple ways, using bill clacks, displays, and body posture. They are not noisy show-offs. They tend to stand, stare, and let their shape do the talking. That calm, patient manner helps them survive in places where waiting can be smarter than chasing. You might think of them as the cleanup crew of the Savannah, and that is not far off. They turn death into something useful. In a land where every meal matters and nothing is wasted, that is no small role. And once you start watching them closely, the marabou stork begins to make a kind of rough sense. It is not graceful like a crane or flashy like a flamingo. It is tougher than that. It is a bird that has learned how to live off what others leave behind. And in a place as hard-edged as Africa, that can be a very good way to make a living. Here, as the light fades and the carcass sights go quiet, the marabou keeps moving with slow purpose, a patient shadow with a big bill and an even bigger job.
Did you know a bird can take down a snake with one swift kick? Out on the open plains, where the grass can hide danger in every step, one long-legged hunter moves like it owns the ground beneath it. It stands tall, scans the earth, and then the chase is over in a blink. This is the secretary bird, one of Africa's most unusual hunters, and it has a way of dealing with trouble that feels almost unbelievable. It lives across grasslands and open savannas, where there is room to stride and space to strike. And yes, we are going to meet the bird that wears the look of a crane, but fights like a boxer with boots on. If you've never heard of it before, you're in for a treat. Say hello in the comments and tell me where you're watching from. The secretary bird is a striking sight, with legs made for walking and a face that seems calm, right up until the moment it attacks. At first glance, it looks almost too elegant for the rough life it leads. Long, thin legs carry it high above the grass, like stilts over a muddy field. Its body is mostly gray, black, and white, with dark feathers at the back of the head that can look a little like old-fashioned quill pens tucked behind the ears. That's how it got its name, though there is nothing quiet or office-like about its life. Those legs are its best tools. They are long, strong, and built for covering ground all day. Then there are the feathers. that give it a slightly formal look, as if it dressed up for a hunt. But this bird is all business when food is on the line. It does not stalk through the grass like a cat, and it does not swoop like an eagle. Instead, it walks and walks and walks until something moves. Then, its whole body shifts from calm to lightning-fast action. Most of the day, the secretary bird is on foot. It travels across the plains in search of small animals, from insects to lizards, and especially snakes. That hunt is what makes it famous. While many birds avoid snakes, this one goes after them with bold confidence. It uses its sharp eyesight to spot movement in the grass, then steps closer with careful, measured strides. When the moment comes, it stamps down with powerful kicks, striking again and again until the threat is finished. Those feet are not just for walking. They are weapons, and the bird knows how to use them with stunning accuracy. This is a hunter that depends on open country. It likes places where it can see trouble coming and where prey has fewer places to hide. In thick forest, it would lose the advantage. But on the arid plains, it can read the land like a page. Its life is part patience, part timing, and part sheer nerve. It will also swallow smaller prey whole, working it down after a quick kill. There is no wasted motion here. Every step matters. In a place where danger can come from below, the secretary bird has found a way to keep its distance and still win the fight. Family life for the secretary bird is quieter, but no less important. These birds often form pairs, and both parents help raise the young. Their nests are built high in trees, where the chicks are safer from ground predators. That is a smart choice, because the adults spend so much time on the ground, far from the safety of branches. The pair works together to defend a territory and feed their chicks. The young are not ready for the harsh life on the plains right away. They need time, food, and a good deal of care before they can stride out on those long legs and hunt on their own. Even the way they stand together tells you something about them. They are not noisy show-offs. They are watchful, they keep their distance, survey the grass, and stay ready. Their body language can say a lot. A raised crest, a firm posture, a quick step forward. These birds know how to send a message without making much sound at all. That quiet strength is part of their charm. The secretary bird matters because it helps keep the grassland in check. By hunting snakes and other small animals, it plays a useful role in the food web. It also shows just how specialized life can become when a creature is shaped by open country and sharp-eyed survival. But like many birds of the African plains, it faces pressure as habitats change and grasslands are altered by people. When open land shrinks, so do the places it needs to hunt and nest. Still, there is hope in protected areas and conservation work that keeps these wide spaces alive. The sight of one striding through the grass is a reminder that the plains still hold surprises, and some of the greatest hunters do not roar, stalk, or pounce. Sometimes they simply walk in tall grass and wait for the perfect moment. By late afternoon, the heat hangs low over the savannah, and the air shimmers above the ground. A secretary bird crosses a dusty flat, while a snake slips through the grass nearby, each one aware of the other. Far off, a herd of gazelles lifts its heads. A pair of vultures circles overhead. For a moment, everything holds still. Then the bird steps in, and the drama begins. Head down, wings half open, one sharp kick. The snake twists and tries to escape, but the bird stays just out of reach, striking again with cold precision. Nearby, a young antelope bolts at the sound, and the whole plain seems to wake up all at once. Then, just as quickly, the tension fades. The secretary bird stands tall again, feathers settling in the breeze, as calm as if nothing happened. That is the strange beauty of the savannah. Danger everywhere, and yet life goes on. Here's something that can stop you in your tracks. An African elephant can weigh as much as several cars, yet move with a kind of quiet care that feels almost gentle. Out here in the open grasslands of Nyerere National Park, that huge body is not just passing through, it is shaping the land itself. These giants live in tight family groups, led by an experienced matriarch, and they are some of the smartest, most social animals on the savannah. Their trunks hold more than 40,000 muscles, and their memories can lead them to water during long droughts. They speak in low rumbles we cannot hear, messages that can travel for miles through the ground. And yes, they mourn their dead. In a place ruled by hunger and heat, the elephant brings wisdom, strength, and a deep family bond that holds its herd together. The African elephant is the largest land animal on Earth. It lives across parts of sub-Saharan Africa, from woodland to grassland, and it plays a huge part in keeping those places alive. Start with the face, and you see no mistaking it. The head is broad and heavy, with ears that flap like giant fans and help cool the body in the heat. The trunk hangs in front like a living hose, but that description barely does it justice. It can lift, sniff, pull, touch, drink, and even gently pick up a single blade of grass. Then there are the tusks, long curved teeth that can be used for digging, stripping bark, or moving branches out of the way. The skin looks rough and wrinkled, like old bark baked under the sun, but it is sensitive and helps hold dust and mud, that protect against insects and heat. Despite all that bulk, elephants can still move with surprising grace. They step softly for such a giant animal, almost like the ground knows to make room. A large elephant can eat for hours each day. Grass, leaves, bark, roots, fruit, it all matters. An elephant needs a lot of food to fuel that massive body, and it spends much of its time moving slowly from one feeding place to the next. But this is not mindless grazing. Elephants are constantly reading the world around them. They notice the wind, the smell of water, the condition of the plants, and the movements of other animals. When drought tightens its grip, that memory becomes a life-saving gift. The matriarch, usually the oldest and most experienced female in the herd, often knows where water once stood, where shade still lingers, and where danger may be waiting. That kind of knowledge can mean the difference between life and death. Their days are shaped by need, but also by planning. They will walk long distances, feed, rest, and move again, often following old routes remembered across many seasons. Family is everything to elephants. A herd is usually made up of related females and their young, and the bonds between them can be very strong. Calves stay close to their mothers, but they are also watched over by aunts, sisters, and cousins. It is a shared effort, and that teamwork gives the young a much better chance of surviving. You can see it in the small things first. A calf brushing against its mother's leg, a trunk reaching out for comfort. A larger female stepping in between a youngster and a threat. They use touch to reassure one another, and their greeting ceremonies can be full of gentle trunk rubs and close body contact. Their low rumbles carry across the ground, warnings, greetings, and even signs of grief. In a dry land, where water is never guaranteed, this kind of communication keeps the herd moving as one. And when a member of the family dies, elephants may linger near the body, touching it, standing quietly, seeming to understand that something important has been lost. That close-knit life helps explain why elephant society feels so human to us at times, not because they are like us, but because they show that family, memory, and care can be just as powerful as claws or teeth. Elephants matter in ways that reach far beyond their own herds. As they move, they break branches, open paths, and spread seeds in their dung. They can change the shape of the land, making room for smaller animals and fresh plant growth. In that sense, they are builders as much as feeders, but their future is not easy. Habitat loss and poaching have hurt elephant numbers in many places, and the pressure on their living space is still real. Protected areas, wildlife ranges, and conservation work have helped in some regions, but the struggle continues. The good news is that people are fighting for them, and that fight matters. For a creature this large, this social, and this deeply tied to the land, losing one herd can mean losing a whole storehouse of knowledge. Then the world goes quiet for a moment, and you realize how much of Africa's living memory walks on 4 feet and carries its history in a trunk.
If you lined up a flamingo and a golf club, you might think somebody was making a joke. Long legs, a slim body, and that odd bent bill make them look almost too strange to be real. But out here at Lake Ndutu, under a bright African sky, they fit right in. These birds live around shallow lakes and salty waters across Africa, and they are built for a very specific kind of life. They feed with their heads upside down in the water, filter tiny bits of food, and often gather in noisy groups that can turn a quiet shoreline into a pink blur. In the right light, they seem almost painted onto the water, but there is nothing silly about how well they survive. They are tough, well-adapted, and part of a busy lake world that feeds many other animals too.
If you stood beside a full-grown giraffe, you would feel small in a hurry. Not just short, truly tiny. Its head can seem to float above the treetops, like a lookout tower with legs. And yet this giant is not clumsy at all. It moves with a quiet, easy grace that surprises people the first time they see one. Giraffes live across the savannas and open woodlands of Africa, where they spend their days reaching for leaves high in the trees. Their long neck, long legs, and spotted coat make them one of the easiest animals to recognize on Earth. But there is much more going on here than height alone. This animal has to eat, drink, watch for danger, and raise young in a land where every advantage matters, and the way it handles all of that is one of the great stories of the grasslands.
Think of a living herd as a moving wall of black and white stripes, each animal looking a bit like it was sketched with a child's paintbrush. That is the plains zebra, and on the open grasslands of Serengeti and Ndutu, it is one of the most familiar sights in Africa. These zebras travel in bands, sometimes mixing with wildebeest and gazelles, and they are always on alert. They may look relaxed from a distance, with their heads down in the grass, but every ear is listening and every eye is watching. In a land where lions, hyenas, and crocodiles are always close by, the zebra's striped body is more than a pattern. It is a moving signal of life, speed, and caution. Up close, the stripes are bold and glossy, and no two animals look exactly alike. The coat is short and sleek, built for heat, dust, and long days on the move. A zebra's build is sturdy, almost horse-like, with strong legs and a neck made for constant grazing. Those legs can launch into a fast run in a flash. And when danger comes, the whole herd seems to wake up at once. The plains zebra spends much of its day feeding, moving, and keeping close to the group. It grazes on the short, fresh grass that appears after rain, using its teeth like a pair of careful lawn shears. But zebra are not picky in the same way some grazers are. They often eat the rougher, taller blades that other animals leave behind. That makes them useful neighbors on the plains. As they move, they help trim the grass and open the way for animals that prefer shorter feed. They also keep a careful routine. Feed. Lift the head, scan the horizon, flick the tail, feed again. That steady rhythm is part of how they stay alive. A lone zebra is in more danger, so they rely on numbers. In a herd, there are many eyes, many ears, and many chances to spot trouble early. Their stripes may help too. When a group runs together, the outline of one animal blends into the next, making it harder for a hungry predator to single out a target. Zebras young stay close to their mothers from the start, learning the herd's pace and warnings. The bond between mare and foal is strong, and mothers will defend their young with sharp kicks and plenty of nerve. Stallions guard their families and may challenge rivals to protect them. Their calls, snorts, and brays carry across the grass, especially when alarm spreads through the herd. There is something moving about the way zebras live. They are not the biggest animals here, and they are not the strongest, but they are built for togetherness. They know the value of staying near one another, and that simple choice can mean the difference between life and death. In the Savannah food web, zebras matter because they turn grass into food for the hunters above them, while also helping shape the land beneath their feet. They are part of the daily rhythm that keeps these plains alive. And in the quiet moments, when the herd stands in the golden light and the stripes seem to shimmer, it is hard not to feel a little wonder. By late afternoon, the air is hot and still over Ndutu. Dust hangs low above the grass. A herd of zebra is moving toward water, their hooves thudding softly, tails swishing at flies. Then the mood shifts, heads come up, ears point forward. From the edge of a patch of scrub, a lioness appears, low to the ground and nearly invisible in the light. At once, the zebra bunch tighter. A foal tucks in beside its mother. Another adult steps outward, ready to kick if needed. The herd starts to move, then breaks into a run. Stripes blur, dust rises, the lioness springs. For a heartbeat, everything feels suspended. Behind her, the rest of the pride is close, waiting for one animal to hesitate. Farther off, hyenas watch, hoping for a mistake. The zebra do not stop. They fan out, then regroup, then run again. A living wave of muscle and alarm. At the water's edge, a few finally lower their heads and drink, but only for a moment. Even here, they never forget the danger. Then, just as quickly, the tension eases. The herd slows. Breathing steadies. The lions fade back into the grass. Life on the plains goes on, with courage measured in every step. Have you ever seen a sea of grass move like it has a heartbeat? One moment, the plain looks empty. The next, it's alive with rustling bodies, flicking tails, and a steady, rolling flow toward water and fresh grazing. Out of that moving mass comes one of Africa's most familiar animals, the wildebeest. It lives across the Serengeti and nearby open grasslands, and it is built for a life on the move. What stands out first is not beauty in a fragile sense, but toughness. These animals are made for distance, dust, and danger, and when the great herds gather, they become one of the biggest sights on the continent. The wildebeest spends its days feeding, traveling, and staying close to others. Because out here, being alone can be a very bad idea. At first glance, a wildebeest can seem like a mix of leftovers from other animals. A face like a horse, a body like a bull, a mane that looks tossed on in a hurry. But that odd collection is part of its charm. The head is broad and heavy, with a blunt muzzle made for grazing. The neck is thick, the shoulders powerful, and the legs look built like long, springy poles. Its coat is usually gray-brown, with darker markings that give it a rough, weathered look. Then there are the horns. Curved and sturdy, they sweep outward and then upward in a way that feels almost carved by hand. A wildebeest does not look delicate, and it does not need to. It is a runner first, a grazer second, and a survivor every single day. Those features are not there for show. They are there for life on open land, where there is nowhere to hide. Most of its day is spent eating, and eating a lot. Wildebeest feed on short grasses, often cropping the land close to the ground as they move. They are not picky when fresh grass is available, and that helps them follow the rains from one feeding area to another. In the dry months, they keep moving, searching for better ground and better water. That constant travel is not just a habit, it is a strategy. If one patch dries out, the herd can keep going. If predators show up, the whole group can shift and flow like water breaking around a rock. They also tend to graze alongside other animals, especially zebras, each one taking a slightly different kind of plant, which helps the whole crowd make use of the same open country. And while they are often on the move, they still spend plenty of time standing, chewing, and watching. On the plains, even a mouthful of grass comes with a cost. The wildebeest's family life is tied closely to the rhythm of the seasons. During the breeding season, males claim small territories and try to hold them with displays and challenges. They stamp, snort, and posture, showing rivals that they are ready to defend their patch of ground. The females move through these areas, and calves are born at a time when the grass can support them best. That timing matters. A calf needs to get up quickly, keep close, and learn fast. Around a herd, there is safety in numbers, but there is also constant movement, constant noise, constant alertness. Mothers stay watchful, young calves follow closely, and when danger appears, the whole herd can erupt into motion in a matter of seconds. They communicate through body language, calls, and the simple fact of sticking together. One animal is easier to single out. 100 or 1,000 are a much harder target. That is why wildebeest gather in such huge numbers. It is a way of raising the odds, not just for one mother or one calf, but for the herd as a whole. Wildebeest matter because they are one of the great engines of the Serengeti. They turn grass into meat, and that meat feeds lions, hyenas, crocodiles, and more. Their migrations also shape the land itself, moving nutrients across vast distances as they graze and travel. When the herds arrive, the whole system seems to wake up. Birds follow. Predators follow. Even the soil benefits from the movement of so many hoofed bodies. They are not just passengers on the plane. They help drive the whole story. And then comes that sudden shift everyone fears. The air tightens, ears lift, heads snap up. Somewhere nearby, a predator has noticed the herd. The edge of the group ripples as bodies turn and begin to run. At first, it is just a few animals, then dozens, then the whole plain seems to break loose. Dust jumps from the ground. Hooves hammer the earth. A calf is pushed toward the middle. A lioness crouches low in the grass, waiting for the split second when the herd opens. But the wildebeest keep coming, keep bunching, keep shifting as one living flood. Some veer left, others cut right. The predator makes its move. The chase lasts only moments, but those moments carry everything. Then, just as quickly, the herd reforms, breathing hard, sides heaving, the danger passing into the distance. For a moment, the grassland grows quiet again. And in that quiet, you can feel what the wildebeest really is. Not just a grazer, but a traveler built to endure. If a tank and a battering ram had a baby, and then gave it a stubborn streak a mile wide, you might come close to the African buffalo. The first thing you notice is the shape of the herd. Dark bodies moving together like a storm cloud on legs. Then come the horns, thick and sweeping, built for trouble. African buffalo live across the grasslands and woodlands of sub-Saharan Africa, and they are never far from danger. Lions watch them closely. So do hyenas. In many places, buffalo are one of the main reasons a pride can eat well at all. But these animals do not simply wait to be chased. They stand their ground, and that changes everything. Up close, an African buffalo looks heavy and hard to move, with a broad chest, a deep head, and a face that seems made for blunt force honesty. Their coats are dark and often dusty, and older bulls can look scarred and weathered, like they have already survived a dozen bad days and expect a few more. The horns are the giveaway. On some animals, they curve out and down in a wide arc, then sweep back up at the tips. Across the forehead, the horns meet in a thick shield called a boss, especially in males. It gives the head a solid, armored look, almost like a helmet poured right onto the skull. There is nothing delicate about them. Their bodies are built low and strong, with sturdy legs that can carry them through tall grass, mud, and long, dry stretches. But their real power is not in one bull standing alone. It is in the herd. Buffalo spend much of their day grazing, moving slowly with their heads down, clipping grass close to the ground. They need water often, and in dry places that means following the rhythm of the season and the search for fresh pasture. When the grass is good and the rains have come, huge herds can gather, sometimes in the thousands. That is not just a crowd, it is protection. Calves stay close to the center, where the adults can shield them from trouble. Strong bulls often hold the outer edge like living guards, ready to face a threat head-on. If lions creep too near, the herd can bunch up fast, snort, pivot, and rush as one. That kind of teamwork makes a big difference on the open plains. A lone buffalo is easier to test. A herd is another matter. Their days are a steady mix of feeding, walking, resting, and watching. And watching is serious business. Buffalo are always reading the mood of the group. One sudden movement, one alarm snort, and the whole herd can shift in seconds. They also live with constant pressure from disease, drought, and human encroachment in some areas, where fences and shrinking habitat can cut off the routes they need to follow. Still, in many protected places, they remain one of Africa's great success stories of sheer toughness. They matter because they shape the grasslands with their grazing, and because they feed some of the continent's best-known hunters. Without buffalo, the whole hunt changes. Without the herd, the savannah feels a little less alive. And when you see them move together, shoulder to shoulder, you understand why they have lasted so long in a land that never makes survival easy. A buffalo herd can look peaceful from a distance. Up close, it feels like a warning with legs. Then the calm breaks. Late in the afternoon, the light turns gold over the dry plain, and the herd starts to drift toward a muddy waterhole. Birds are calling. Dust hangs in the air. A few calves nudge closer to their mothers. Then the adults stop all at once. Heads lift, ears turn. Something is wrong. On the edge of the grass, lionesses begin to move, low and quiet, each one using the cover of the grass like a curtain. They do not rush. They spread out. One cuts left, another circles wide. The buffalo bunch tighter, bulls pushing to the outside, horns angled forward. For a moment, it looks like a fence made of muscle and nerve. The lionesses wait for weakness. The herd answers with force. A bull steps out, snorts and shakes his massive head. Another joins him. The lions hesitate. Then, from farther off, laughter rolls across the plain. Hyenas have arrived too, hoping for scraps if the hunt turns chaotic. The waterhole, the dust, the tall grass, every bit of it feels charged now. Then the buffalo move, not in panic, in a heavy, rolling charge that sends birds bursting into the sky. The lions give ground. The hyenas slip back into the shadows. And just like that, the herd keeps moving, still wary, still together, carrying its strength in numbers and in nerve. There is something deeply steady about that. In a place ruled by speed and teeth, the buffalo survives by standing firm. Have you ever stood by a wet meadow and heard a sound that feels almost too bright for the morning air? A call that rings out over the grass like a trumpet made of silver? Then the bird steps into view, and the whole place seems to lift a little. This is the gray-crowned crane, a graceful bird of marshes, wet grasslands, and open plains across parts of Africa. It carries a crown of stiff, golden feathers on its head, and it is one of the most elegant sights in the savannah. But don't let that beauty fool you. Life out here is never just about looking lovely. It is about finding food, staying safe, and raising young in a world that can turn hard in a hurry. The gray-crowned crane stands nearly as tall as a child, with long legs, broad wings, and a slow, careful walk that seems almost formal. Its body is soft gray, but that golden crest catches the light like a flame. The feathers on top of its head are not a real crown, of course, but they give it that royal look all the same. When it spreads its wings, there is another surprise. Bright white wing patches flash against the darker feathers, and the bird suddenly looks even larger than it did a moment ago. Those wings are not just for show. They help during courtship too, when cranes dance with bows, leaps, and quick steps that look like a celebration. On the ground, this bird is a patient forager. It picks through wet grass and shallow water for seeds, insects, small animals, and other bits of food it can find. It does not rush. It walks, probes, and listens. In many ways, the gray-crowned crane lives at the edge between land and water, where food is easier to find and danger can still be close by. That same mix of grace and caution shapes its family life. Cranes often stay with one mate for a long time, and both parents help care for the chicks. The young are able to move soon after hatching, but they still depend on the adults for protection and guidance. A crane family moves together through the grass like a small, watchful team. They call to one another with soft notes and louder cries, keeping close when the world feels risky. That strong pair bond is one reason people often see cranes as symbols of loyalty. And they need that loyalty because the places they depend on are under pressure. Wetlands are being drained, and grasslands are being changed by farming and development. In some places, their numbers have dropped. That makes protected marshes and careful land management even more important. The gray-crowned crane matters because it helps us see how much life depends on healthy water and open space. It is part of the food web, yes, but it is also a sign that a wetland is still working the way it should. When a crane lifts off with slow, powerful wing beats, it feels like the whole marsh is breathing with it. And if you listen closely, you may hear that ringing call still hanging in the air long after the bird has gone. Now imagine late afternoon over a flooded meadow. The light is soft and the wind has dropped. A pair of cranes feeds near the edge of the water, heads down, stepping slowly through the reeds. Not far away, a flock of flamingos stirs in the shallows. Then a shadow moves in the grass. A jackal slips closer, low and careful, hoping for an easy meal. The cranes notice first. One lifts its head, then the other. They spread their wings, not to flee yet, but to look larger, stronger, harder to test. The jackal pauses. A little farther off, a heron takes wing with a splash of pale feathers, and the whole wetland seems to wake at once. The cranes do not panic. They simply shift, circle, and keep their young in the safest spot they can find. That is the quiet genius of life here. Beauty, alertness, and survival all moving together. The dust hangs in the air before the horizon even comes into focus. Then the grass begins to move, not from wind, but from life. Hooves strike the ground in rolling waves, birds lift off in a sudden shimmer, and overhead, the sky seems to stretch forever. This is the Serengeti, one of Africa's most famous plains, where open country runs on and on like a green sea in the rainy season and a gold-brown carpet in the dry months. It is wide, hot, and alive with sound. Here, lions stalk, cheetahs sprint, hyenas shadow the edges, and great herds of zebra and wildebeest pour across the land. Every season changes the face of the plains. Every day brings another chase, another drink, another chance to live. The river announces itself before you even see it. A low, steady rush through the reeds, the slap of water against muddy banks, then a flash of dark current under the afternoon sun, and suddenly you are at the Grumeti River, where the Serengeti seems to pause and listen. This is one of those places that can look calm for a moment, and then turn serious in an instant. Hippos wallow in the deeper pools, crocodiles linger near the edges, and thirsty animals come down to drink with one eye on the water and one eye on the grass behind them. In the dry season, this river becomes a line between safety and danger, and every crossing can mean life or death. You might not notice danger until you are almost on top of it. 1 second, the grass looks empty. The next, a thick little coil is there, still as a knot in rope, waiting for the wrong step. That is the trouble with the puff adder. It does not need speed. It does not need a chase. It just needs patience. The puff adder lives across much of sub-Saharan Africa, in grasslands, scrub, and open country, where it can vanish into the ground cover in plain sight. What makes it stand out is that heavy body, the wide head, and that famous warning hiss that can stop a careless animal in its tracks. This is a snake built for surprise, and it has a very strong venom that makes it one of the most feared snakes in Africa. The puff adder is a master of ambush, and that single habit shapes almost everything about its life. Look closely, and it seems almost plain. But plain can be dangerous. Its body is thick and short, more like a coiled spring than a long ribbon. That shape helps it stay low and hidden in dry grass, leaf litter, and dusty paths. Its scales usually carry a mix of browns, grays, and dull yellows that blend with the earth around it. Then there is the pattern. Dark chevrons run across its back like broken marks from a storm. They help break up its outline, so even when you are near, your eye may slide past it. The head is broad and flat, almost triangular, and the body narrows quickly toward the tail. It is not a flashy animal. It is a practical one. And in the African sun, practical can mean alive. The puff adder spends much of its time waiting. It may lie along a game path, beside a rock, or tucked under a patch of grass where a mouse might wander by. Small mammals are a big part of its diet, and it will also take birds and other small prey when the chance comes. When an animal comes close enough, the strike is quick and sudden. There is no long warning, no long run. Just a flash, a jab, and then the snake pulls back and lets the venom do its work. After that, it may wait again. This is a hunter that saves energy and lets the world come to it. In a land where heat, hunger, and distance make every movement costly, that is a smart way to live. Its daily life is built around caution. Too much movement can bring danger. Too little can bring starvation. So the puff adder balances both. It rests in cover through the hottest part of the day and becomes more active when the air cools. If pressed, it does not try to play the hero. It puffs up, hisses loudly, and hopes the threat backs off. That warning is more than sound. It is a message that says, "Leave me alone." And most animals hear it well. Family life for the puff adder is a quiet, solitary affair. These snakes do not gather in groups or raise young together. A female gives birth to live young, and the babies are born ready to handle themselves from the start. They are small copies of the adults, already carrying venom and already able to hunt tiny prey. There is no soft nest, no long family teaching, no protective crowd around them. Once born, they are on their own. That may sound harsh, but it fits a world where hiding is the first line of defense. For a young puff adder, survival begins the moment it touches the ground. It must learn fast, stay still, and trust its camouflage. The puff adder matters because it helps keep small animal numbers in check, especially rodents that can grow quickly when conditions are good. It also serves as food for a few bold hunters, including the secretary bird, which can kill snakes with a powerful kick. So even a snake that many creatures fear is part of a larger chain of life. And sadly, it often crosses paths with people. That is why it causes so many snakebite cases in Africa, especially where farms, footpaths, and dry grass meet. Most bites happen when someone steps too close without seeing it. Final thought. In a place where survival can hinge on one missed step, the puff adder reminds us that the smallest animals can carry the biggest surprises. Then the afternoon heats up, and the whole grassland seems to hold its breath. A guinea fowl starts clattering somewhere nearby. A hare darts from one patch of shade to another. Then a secretary bird appears on long legs, striding through the grass with its sharp eyes fixed ahead. It pauses. One quick strike, then another. Dust lifts in a pale cloud. Off to the side, a puff adder lies half hidden beneath a tuft of dry stems, its body tight as a coil. The bird has seen it, and the snake knows it. There is a burst of motion, a hiss, a snap of wings, and for a moment, the whole scene turns electric. The bird keeps its distance. The snake holds its ground. Neither one wants to make a mistake. That is the hard truth of this land. Even the smallest encounter can turn into a fight for life. Then, just as quickly, it is over. The bird moves on. The snake settles back into the grass. The dust drifts down again, and the savannah returns to its quiet, watchful calm. It's a little like a neighborhood argument that never really ends. One season, a group of giants controls the best ground. The next, another crowd comes pushing in, and the whole place changes hands. Out here in the dry season, the struggle for food, water, and space gets tighter by the day. Dust hangs in the air, the grass is short and brittle, and every animal knows that one wrong step can turn a quiet afternoon into a fight for survival. Near the river and across the open plains, lions move like living shadows. Buffalo stand their ground, and crocodiles wait in the shallows with endless patience. The heat sharpens every sound. Every call feels louder. Every footfall feels heavier. And when the rivalry begins, there is no room for hesitation. A pride of lions slips through the grass, lionesses low and focused, while a wall of buffalo faces them head-on, horns forward and nerves tense. The lions have done this before. They work as a team, fast and silent, trying to find the weak spot in the herd. But buffalo are not easy prey. A strong bull can wheel around in a blink and charge back with pure muscle and fury. Then, from the edge of the scene, trouble arrives in another form. Spotted hyenas. They do not rush in blindly. They watch, wait, and measure the odds. If a lion makes a clean kill, they may try to steal it. If the lions get distracted, the hyenas move closer, laughing calls carrying across the grass like a taunt. And all the while, the river keeps its own secrets. A crocodile lies almost invisible in the water, with only eyes and nostrils showing. Nearby, a thirsty antelope edges toward the bank, then freezes. Too many eyes, too many dangers. The air seems to hold still. Then it breaks. Buffalo surge forward in a pounding burst. Lions peel away and regroup. Hyenas circle wider. The crocodile never moves at all. This is the dry season at its sharpest, a place where every meal is hard-won, every rival is a threat, and every survivor earns the right to stay. And here's the funny thing about a place that looks so wild and so unforgiving. It still depends on simple acts. A mother lion nudging her cub closer. An elephant remembering where the water was last season. A hyena family working as one. A crocodile waiting. A flock of birds cleaning what the hunters leave behind. All of it is connected, thread by thread, through dust, water, heat, and time. This is not just a land of teeth and horns. It is a living world, always changing, always asking something of the animals that call it home. And people matter here too. Protected parks, rangers, researchers, and careful conservation work can give these species a better chance, even as habitat is lost and the pressure grows. If this journey moved you, please like, subscribe, share it with a friend, and tell us in the comments which animal stayed with you the most. Until next time, keep looking out for the wild places still beating quietly beyond the road.